Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Crash. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the elegant lobby of the Grand Manhattan Hotel as Emily Carter tried to balance 3 champagne trays. At 25, working as a waitress to pay for journalism school, she definitely didn't expect her Friday night to end with her covered in expensive drinks in front of New York's most powerful businessmen. Darn, 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 she muttered, crouching down to collect the shards. That's when a strong hand pulled her up with such force that she was thrown directly against a solid, masculine chest. By instinct, her arms wrapped around his neck, and before she could process what was happening, camera flashes exploded around them. "What the heck?" she began to say, but the deep, irritated voice interrupted her. "Perfect, simply perfect." Emily looked up and found herself face to face with the most handsome face she'd ever seen in her life. Perfectly styled dark hair, piercing blue eyes, and a jaw that seemed to have been sculpted by Michelangelo. It was also the most irritated face she'd ever seen. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. "I don't," Emily stammered, still trapped in his arms while the flashes continued. "I'm Liam Bennett, CEO of Bennett Enterprises." "And you?" he said, tightening his grip on her waist. "Just made the biggest mistake of your life." "Hey, you're the one who pulled me, Liam," Emily retorted. "Liam! Liam!" the reporters shouted. "Who is she? Is she your new girlfriend? When did you start dating?" Liam closed his eyes, clearly calculating something. When he opened them again, there was something dangerous in his gaze. "You want a story?" he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, pulling Emily even closer. "Here's your story." And then, in front of 30 reporters, 15 cameras, and what seemed to be half of Manhattan's elite, Liam Bennett lowered his head and whispered in Emily's ear, "Smile like your life depends on it, because now it will." "What do you mean by gentlemen of the press?" Liam announced, his voice echoing through the lobby. "I'd like to introduce my fiancée, Emily Carter. We'll be married next month." Emily's world stopped. "What fiancé? But I don't even know your full name," she whispered desperately. "Now you do," he murmured back, still smiling at the cameras, "and you have exactly 5 seconds to decide. Either you play the role of the most in-love woman in the world, or I guarantee you'll never work in Manhattan again." Emily looked around. Flashes, smiles, questions being shouted, and this impossible man who had apparently just decided she would be his wife because she had accidentally embraced him. "You're completely insane," she whispered. "Probably," he admitted. "So, what's it going to be, darling?" Emily took a deep breath. Okay, he wanted a show. She'd give him a show. Rising on her tiptoes, she planted a resounding kiss on his cheek and shouted loud enough for everyone to hear, "I love you so much. Love of my life. I can't wait to be Mrs. Bennett." The crowd exploded in applause, and Liam looked at her with a mixture of surprise and admiration. "Very good," he murmured. "Very good indeed." As they were surrounded by reporters and paparazzi, Emily had a single, terrifying realization. Her normal life had just ended, and all because of an accidental embrace with the most arrogant man in New York. But why, deep in her chest, did she feel a small spark of excitement? "Oh, and Emily," Liam whispered as they posed for more photos. "Welcome to the Bennett family. I hope you're prepared, because my life isn't exactly simple." As if in response to his words, an elegant woman with gray hair approached, clearly furious. "William Bennett," she practically roared. "What on earth is happening here?" Liam sighed. "Emily, meet my mother, Margaret Bennett." "Mother, my fiancée." Margaret Bennett looked Emily up and down as if she were a particularly disgusting insect. "We're going to talk now," she said coldly, and Emily realized that the accidental embrace was just the beginning of a much, much bigger madness. The Bennett family penthouse was like stepping into a magazine spread, if that magazine was Rich People Who Could Crush You Without Blinking Weekly. Emily sat on a leather couch that probably cost more than her annual tuition, trying not to touch anything, while Liam paced like a caged panther. 30 minutes, Margaret Bennett announced, checking her diamond-encrusted watch. 30 minutes since your little performance, and we already have 12 news articles, 47 social media posts, and 3 marriage proposals from other billionaires' daughters thinking they can steal Liam away. "Mother," Liam began. "Don't mother me, young man. Margaret's voice could have frozen champagne. You've been dodging marriage arrangements for 3 years, and now you announce an engagement to me, Emily finished. Standing up, Emily Carter, and I'm sitting right here, Mrs. Bennet. Margaret's eyebrows shot up so high they nearly disappeared into her hairline. Oh, it speaks. Mother. Please. Liam rubbed his temples. Emily. Ignore her. She's just concerned that my son has lost his mind. Margaret interrupted. Liam, darling, you're supposed to marry Sophia Langley next month. Her father owns half of Manhattan's real estate. This little stunt has complicated things considerably. Emily's jaw dropped. Wait, what? You're already engaged? Liam said quickly. It was more of a business arrangement. Business arrangement? Emily's voice pitched higher. You mean like buying stocks or office supplies? Something like that, Liam muttered. Before Emily could fully process this bombshell, the penthouse door burst open, and in walked what could only be described as a tornado in a 3-piece suit. Liam! The tornado shouted. What in the name of all that's expensive have you done now? Emily, Liam said tiredly. Meet my younger brother, Ethan. Ethan, this is Emily, my fiancée. Ethan Bennet stopped mid-stride, his perfectly coiffed hair slightly disheveled from his dramatic entrance. He looked exactly like Liam, but with a mischievous grin that suggested he'd never met a prank he didn't like. Holy guacamole, Ethan said, circling Emily like she was a sculpture in a museum. You're real. I thought the news was just another one of Liam's elaborate tax write-offs. Tax write-offs? Emily asked weakly. Oh, Liam's always doing weird stuff for business, Ethan explained cheerfully. Last year, he pretended to be allergic to shellfish for 3 months to get out of the Dalton seafood merger. The year before that, he fake dated a supermodel to distract from the company's quarterly losses. Ethan, Liam warned. What? I'm just saying fake relationships are kind of your thing, bro. But usually you give people a heads up before Ethan stopped, his eyes widening. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. You didn't warn her, did you? Emily looked between the brothers, a sinking feeling in her stomach. Warn me about what? About the fact that Liam Bennet doesn't do real relationships, Ethan said, grinning wickedly. He's been engaged 4 times in the past 2 years. All fake. All for business. He's like the Taylor Swift of corporate mergers. 4 times? Emily's voice cracked. Ethan, Liam snapped. What? She should know. Remember Olivia, the lawyer? And then there was that senator's daughter. What was her name? Enough. Margaret's voice cut through the chaos like a sword. Both of you. Sit down. We need to discuss damage control. As they settled into the living room, Emily felt like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. 30 minutes ago, she'd been worried about paying her electric bill. Now she was fake engaged to a serial fake fiancé with a mother who looked like she could run a small country and a brother who seemed to think this was all hilarious. All right, Margaret said, pulling out a tablet. Here's what we're going to do. The story is already trending on social media. Bennet engagement is the #2 hashtag in New York. The stock price has gone up 3 points because investors think Liam is finally settling down. The stock went up? Liam asked, suddenly interested. Oh yes. Margaret smiled coldly. Apparently, a stable Liam Bennet is worth billions. Which means, Miss Carter, you're now worth billions too. To us, anyway. Emily's head was spinning. I just want to go home. Home? Ethan laughed. Sweetheart, you are home. You just got adopted by the Bennet family circus. Population. 3 crazy people and whatever poor soul Liam drags into his schemes. It's not a scheme, Liam protested. It's... What, Liam? Margaret asked sweetly. Because from where I'm sitting, you just announced your engagement to a complete stranger to avoid your actual responsibilities. She's not a complete stranger, Liam said. Her name is Emily Carter. She's 25. She works as a waitress, and she's studying journalism. You know my major? Emily asked, surprised. I might have had someone run a quick background check while we were in the elevator, Liam admitted. You what? Emily shot up from the couch. That's it. I'm leaving. This is insane. You're all insane. She stormed toward the door, but Ethan's voice stopped her. Emily, wait. If you leave now, what happens to your story? She turned around. What story? Ethan grinned. The story about how Liam Bennet, Manhattan's most eligible bachelor, fell head over heels for a regular girl who doesn't care about his money. Do you know how much that story is worth? Emily blinked. As a journalism student, she had to admit it was a pretty good story. Plus, Ethan added, You've got a front row seat to the Bennett family circus. Trust me, we're way more entertaining than Netflix." Margaret shot Ethan a look that could have melted steel. "What Ethan is trying to say is that we have a proposition for you, Miss Carter." "A proposition? 1 month," Margaret said crisply. "Play the role of Liam's loving fiancée for 1 month. Attend a few social events. Smile for the cameras. Convince the world that my son has finally found true love. In return, we'll pay you $50,000. Emily's jaw dropped. $50,000? "Plus," Liam added, "I'll give you exclusive access to the Bennett family business, insider information, enough material for a dozen articles. It could launch your journalism career." Emily looked around the room at Margaret, who was calculating and cold but oddly impressive. At Ethan, who was grinning like this was the best entertainment he'd had in years. At Liam, who was watching her with an intensity that made her stomach flutter. "1 month?" she asked. "1 month," Liam confirmed. "And then we stage a very public, very amicable breakup. You go back to your normal life. I go back to mine, and everyone wins." "What about Sophia Langley?" "Sophia will be fine," Margaret said dismissively. "She's already moved on to the Harrison boy. Apparently, she finds him less complicated." Emily took a deep breath. $50,000 would pay for her entire final year of college. Plus, the story access could be incredible for her career. And if she was being honest, the thought of spending a month with Liam Bennett wasn't entirely unpleasant. "All right," she said finally. 1 month. But I have conditions." "Name them," Liam said. "First, no more surprise announcements. If you're going to make me part of your life, I want to know what I'm walking into." "Fair enough." "Second, I want my own room. A nice one with a lock." "Done." "Third," Emily looked directly at Margaret, "I want respect. I may not be from your world, but I'm not going to be treated like hired help." Margaret studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Acceptable." And finally, Emily turned to Ethan. "I want the truth about everything. No more surprises about fake relationships or business arrangements or whatever other crazy stuff your family does." Ethan grinned. "Oh, Emily, you have no idea what you just signed up for." As if on cue, the penthouse door burst open again, and in walked a stunning woman with platinum blonde hair and a dress that probably cost more than Emily's car. "Liam, darling," the woman called out, "I just heard the most ridiculous rumor about you being engaged to some waitress." Margaret sighed. "And that would be Sophia Langley." Emily looked at Liam, who had gone pale. "I thought you said she moved on." "I thought she had," Liam muttered. Sophia spotted Emily, and her perfect smile faltered. "Oh, you're real." "Unfortunately," Emily said dryly. Ethan started laughing. "Oh, this is going to be fun." And as Sophia began what sounded like the beginning of a very dramatic speech about betrayal and business arrangements, Emily realized that the Bennett family circus had just gotten a whole lot more complicated, but strangely, she found herself looking forward to it. "Rule number 1, Liam said, adjusting his tie for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. "Always maintain physical contact in public, hand-holding, arm around the waist, that sort of thing." Emily stared at herself in the full-length mirror of her new bedroom, which, true to Liam's word, was both luxurious and equipped with a very sturdy lock. She was wearing a designer dress that cost more than her rent, shoes that felt like walking on clouds, and enough jewelry to fund a small college. "Rule number 2, Liam continued, pacing behind her. "We have pet names. I call you sweetheart or darling. You call me, well, whatever feels natural. How about your royal pain in the buttness?" Emily suggested, turning to face him. "Very funny." "Rule number 3, Liam began, but Emily interrupted. "You've been listing rules for 20 minutes. How many fake relationships have you had that you need this many rules?" Liam stopped pacing and ran a hand through his hair. "Look, tonight's charity gala is important. The entire New York social scene will be there, including several board members who still think I'm too young and reckless to run Bennett Enterprises. And a fake fiancé proves you're mature? A fake fiancé proves I'm stable, settled, ready to take on more responsibility." He sat down on the edge of her bed, suddenly looking less like a confident CEO and more like a tired man carrying too much weight. "My father built this company from nothing. When he died, I inherited not just a business, but the livelihoods of 12,000 employees. Every decision I make affects thousands of families." Emily softened, seeing him vulnerable for the first time. "That's a lot of pressure." "It is. And if the board thinks I'm not ready, they could vote to replace me with someone else." Someone who might not care as much about those families. So, this whole fake engagement thing, it's really about protecting your employees? Liam looked up at her, surprise flickering in his blue eyes. Most people would assume it's about protecting my wealth. I'm not most people, Emily said softly. For a moment, they just looked at each other. And Emily felt something shift in the air between them. Then Liam cleared his throat and stood up. Right. Well? Rule number 4, a knock on the door interrupted him. Emily? Liam? Ethan's voice called through the door. The car is here, and Mother is getting that look she gets when people are late. What look? Emily asked. The look that suggests she's mentally planning your funeral, Ethan replied cheerfully. 20 minutes later, Emily found herself walking into the most elegant ballroom she'd ever seen. Crystal chandeliers hung from painted ceilings, and women in gowns that could have been worn to the Met Gala glided across marble floors, while men in perfect tuxedos discussed what she assumed were very important business matters. Breathe. Liam murmured in her ear, his hand warm on the small of her back. You look beautiful. By the way, despite herself, Emily felt her cheeks warm. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. Why, Miss Carter? Was that almost a compliment? Before Emily could respond, they were descended upon by what felt like half the party. Liam, darling. A woman with too much plastic surgery and too many diamonds grabbed his arm. You simply must introduce us to your mysterious fiancé. And so began what Emily would later refer to as the interrogation. For the next hour, she was questioned, analyzed, and judged by everyone, from senators' wives to tech moguls' daughters. Liam stayed by her side the entire time, his hand never leaving her back or waist, playing the part of the devoted fiancé perfectly. How did you two meet? Asked a woman whose name Emily had already forgotten. It was very romantic, Emily said, improvising. Liam literally swept me off my feet. Liam's mouth twitched. She has a way of making quite an entrance. And when did you know he was the one? Pressed another woman. Emily looked up at Liam, intending to give another rehearsed answer. But something in his expression made her pause. Maybe it was the way he was looking at her, like she was actually precious to him. Maybe it was the champagne. Maybe it was the fairy tale setting. But instead of a lie, truth came tumbling out. When I realized he wasn't trying to change me, she said quietly. He saw exactly who I was and liked it anyway. The women around them sighed romantically, but Emily barely heard them. Liam was staring at her with an intensity that made her heart race. Excuse us, ladies, Liam said suddenly. I need to steal my fiancée for a dance. He led her onto the dance floor, pulling her into his arms as a slow waltz began. Emily had never waltzed in her life, but somehow, following Liam's lead felt natural. That was unexpected, Liam said softly. What was? What you said about not trying to change you. I thought we were supposed to stick to safe, generic answers. Emily felt heat creep up her neck. Sorry, I got caught up in the moment. Don't apologize. It was perfect. Very convincing. Right, convincing. Emily tried to ignore the disappointment that flashed through her chest. Of course, he thought it was just good acting. They danced in silence for a moment, and Emily became acutely aware of everything about him. The warmth of his hand on her waist, the steady rhythm of his breathing, the way he smelled like expensive cologne and something uniquely him. Emily, Liam said quietly, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you really agree to this? $50,000 is nice, but you could have walked away. You could have told those reporters it was all a misunderstanding. Emily considered lying, giving him some practical answer about money and career opportunities. But something about the way he was looking at her, the vulnerability she'd seen in her room earlier, made her want to be honest. Because, she said slowly, in that moment when you asked if I wanted to play the role of the most in-love woman in the world, part of me wondered what that would feel like. Liam's steps faltered slightly, and I'm still figuring that out. Before Liam could respond, they were interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Sophia Langley had arrived, and she was making quite the entrance of her own, complete with a dramatic speech about true love and business arrangements gone wrong. Oh, for crying out loud, Liam muttered. Is she always this theatrical? Emily asked, watching Sophia gesture wildly while photographers captured every moment. Unfortunately, yes, I should probably Liam Bennett. Sophia's voice rang across the ballroom as she spotted them on the dance floor. How dare you humiliate me like this? The entire party turned to stare as Sophia stormed across the dance floor, her designer heels clicking ominously on the marble. Sophia, Liam said tiredly, we've discussed this. Our arrangement was purely business. Yes, I know. Sophia interrupted. But that doesn't mean you can replace me with some nobody. Hey, Emily stepped forward, surprising herself with her own boldness. I may be a nobody to you, but at least I'm not throwing a tantrum in public like a spoiled child. The ballroom went dead silent. Sophia's mouth fell open. Liam's eyes widened. Did you just call me a child? Sophia sputtered. If the tiara fits, Emily replied sweetly. Ethan's laughter echoed across the silent ballroom, followed by scattered chuckles from other guests. Sophia's face turned red, then purple. You have no idea who you're dealing with, Sophia hissed. I could ruin you. Maybe, Emily said calmly, but at least I'll ruin with dignity. And with that, she turned back to Liam, who was staring at her with something that looked a lot like admiration. Shall we continue our dance? She asked. As Liam pulled her back into his arms, the whispers started immediately. But instead of feeling embarrassed, Emily felt powerful. For the first time in her life, she'd stood up to someone who tried to make her feel small, and she'd won. That was incredible, Liam murmured in her ear. Was it convincing enough? Emily asked, echoing his earlier word. Liam pulled back to look at her, and the expression in his eyes made her breath catch. Emily, he said softly, I'm beginning to think there's nothing fake about this at all. Before she could ask what he meant, the music swelled, and they were lost in the dance, in each other's eyes, and in the growing realization that their fake relationship was starting to feel dangerously real. Across the ballroom, Margaret Bennett watched her son dance with his fake fiancé and allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Interesting, she murmured to Ethan, who had appeared at her elbow. What's interesting, Mother? Your brother hasn't looked at a woman like that since, well, ever. Ethan followed her gaze and grinned. Think they know they're falling for each other? Not yet, Margaret said, but they will. The question is, what are we going to do about it? We. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Margaret's smile turned calculating. Oh yes, darling. I think it's time for a little family intervention. Emily woke up to the sound of someone singing off-key in what sounded like Italian opera. She checked her phone. 6:47 a.m. Who in their right mind was singing opera before 7 inches the morning? She wrapped a silk robe around herself, another luxury she was still getting used to, and crept out of her room. The singing was coming from the kitchen, along with the smell of something that made her stomach growl with appreciation. Following the divine aroma, she found Ethan Bennett standing at a massive stove, wearing a Kiss the Cook apron over perfectly pressed pajamas, conducting an imaginary orchestra with a wooden spoon, while something sizzled in 3 different pans. Ethan, Emily called out, trying not to laugh. He spun around, wooden spoon still raised dramatically. Ah, the sleeping beauty awakens. Perfect timing. I'm making my world-famous breakfast extravaganza. World-famous? Well, Liam famous. And now Emily famous too, I suppose. Ethan gestured grandly to the feast he was preparing. Belgian waffles, eggs Benedict, fresh fruit salad, homemade hash browns, and my secret weapon, cinnamon roll pancakes. Emily's eyes widened. You made all this? Cooking is my hidden talent, Ethan said proudly. Well, one of them. I also play the violin, speak 4 languages, and can juggle flaming torches. But Mother thinks those skills are inappropriate for a Bennett heir. Flaming torches? Don't ask. Now, coffee or fresh squeezed orange juice? Or both? Definitely both. You need energy for today's adventure. What adventure? Emily asked, accepting a steaming mug of coffee that smelled like heaven. Oh, you didn't know? Today is shopping day with Margaret Bennett. Capital S, capital D. It's like Black Friday. And a military operation had a baby. Emily nearly choked on her coffee. Shopping with your mother? She's taking you to get a proper wardrobe for your new role as Liam's fiancée. Translation. She's going to try to turn you into a proper Bennett woman. It's going to be. Ethan paused, searching for the right word. Epic. Before Emily could fully process this terrifying news, Liam appeared in the doorway, looking rumpled and sleepy in a way that was far too attractive for this early in the morning. Ethan, what are you? Liam stopped when he saw Emily, his eyes taking in her silk robe and messy hair. Oh, good morning. Good morning, Emily replied, suddenly very aware that she was in pajamas and probably looked like she'd been attacked by a pillow. Morning, lovebirds, Ethan chirped, completely oblivious to the awkward tension. I was just telling Emily about her shopping expedition with Mother today. Liam's expression shifted to something between amusement and sympathy. Ah, shopping with Mother? Emily, I should probably warn you that Mother has very strong opinions about fashion. Emily guessed. That Mother has very strong opinions about everything? Exactly, Liam corrected. But especially about how Bennett women should present themselves to the world. I'm not a Bennett woman, Emily pointed out. I'm just pretending to be one. Liam and Ethan exchanged a look that Emily couldn't quite interpret. Right, Liam said slowly. Pretending. An hour later, Emily found herself in the back of a limousine with Margaret Bennett, who was reviewing what appeared to be a military-style battle plan on her tablet. First stop, Bergdorf Goodman, Margaret announced. We'll need at least 3 cocktail dresses, 2 business suits, 1 formal gown, and a complete casual wardrobe, then lunch at Le Bernardin, followed by jewelry at Tiffany's, shoes at Louboutin, and finally a spa treatment to prepare you for tomorrow's board meeting. Board meeting? Emily squeaked. Oh yes, dear. You'll be accompanying Liam to the quarterly board meeting. As his fiancé, you need to make the right impression. Margaret's smile was sharp. Don't worry. I'll teach you everything you need to know. The next 6 hours were a whirlwind of designer boutiques, personal shoppers, and more money being spent on clothes than Emily had ever seen in her life. Margaret was like a general commanding her troops, pointing at dresses and suits with decisive authority, while sales associates scrambled to accommodate her every demand. This one, Margaret said, holding up a midnight blue cocktail dress. It brings out your eyes. Liam will love it. It's just for show, Emily reminded her, but she couldn't help admiring how the dress looked against her skin. Is it? Margaret asked, her tone casual, but her eyes sharp. Tell me, Emily, what did you think of the charity gala last night? Emily considered her answer carefully. It was educational. I learned a lot about your world. And what did you learn? That it's more complicated than I thought. That there's a lot of pressure to be perfect all the time. That Liam carries more responsibility than most people realize. Margaret nodded approvingly. Very good. And what else? Emily hesitated, then decided on honesty. That your son is nothing like what I expected when I first met him. How so? I thought he was just another arrogant rich guy who was used to getting his way, but he's actually thoughtful and kind. And he genuinely cares about the people who work for him. Emily felt heat rise in her cheeks. Not that it matters. This is just temporary. Margaret was quiet for a long moment, studying Emily with those sharp eyes. You know, dear, when Liam was 12, his father took him to the company Christmas party. All the employees brought their families, and Liam spent the entire evening playing with the children, making sure everyone felt included. At the end of the night, he asked his father why some of the kids didn't have presents under the tree. Emily found herself leaning forward, drawn into the story. Henry explained that not all families could afford expensive gifts, and Liam disappeared for an hour. We found him in his father's office, making a list of every child at the party and what they wanted for Christmas. He used his entire allowance, 3 years' worth, to buy presents for those children. Margaret's smile was soft, proud. He's been taking care of people ever since. Why are you telling me this? Emily asked quietly. Because, Margaret said, I think you see him the way those children did. Not as the CEO or the heir to a fortune, but as someone who genuinely wants to help. She paused, and I think he sees you the same way. Before Emily could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from Liam. How's the shopping going? Mother hasn't traumatized you too much, has she? Emily smiled despite herself and typed back. Still alive. Your mother has excellent taste in torture devices. His response came immediately. She likes you. If she didn't, she would have taken you to discount stores, just to make a point. How can you tell she likes me? She's spending money on you. For Mother, that's basically a declaration of love. Emily laughed, and Margaret raised an eyebrow. Liam, she asked, how did you know? Because you're smiling like a woman in love, dear. Which brings me to my next question. How fake is this engagement, really? Emily's breath caught. What do you mean? I mean, Margaret said, leaning back in her chair, that I've seen Liam with many women over the years. Business associates, social connections, even a few genuine attempts at dating, but I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you last night. We barely know each other, Emily protested. Sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes you just know. Margaret smiled. I knew I was going to marry Liam's father 15 minutes after I met him. He was arguing with a waiter about the wine selection, and I thought he was the most pompous man I'd ever encountered. But there was something about the way he stood up for what he believed in, even over something as silly as wine, that made me realize he was someone who would stand up for the people he loved. What happened to him? Emily asked softly. Margaret's expression grew sad. Heart attack. 3 years ago. Liam was supposed to take over the company gradually, but suddenly he was thrust into the role with no preparation. The board questioned every decision he made, waiting for him to fail. He's been trying to prove himself ever since. Is that why he does the fake relationships? To prove he's stable? Partly, but also because he's afraid. Margaret's voice grew gentle. He watched his father work himself to death, trying to take care of everyone else. Liam's terrified of letting people down, so he keeps everyone at arm's length. It's safer that way. Emily felt something shift in her chest, a deeper understanding of the man who had turned her life upside down with an accidental embrace. But you, Margaret continued, you're different. You don't want anything from him except honesty. You stood up to Sophia Langley, something I've wanted to do for years, by the way. And you made Liam laugh. Really laugh. I haven't seen that in a very long time. Mrs. Bennett Margaret, please, Margaret, I have a proposition for you. Another one? Margaret chuckled. This one's different. I want you to come to dinner tonight, not as Liam's fake fiancée, but as yourself. I want to get to know the woman who's managed to crack my son's armor in less than 24 hours. That evening, Emily found herself back in the Bennett penthouse, wearing one of her new dresses and feeling more nervous than she had at the charity gala. This felt more real, more intimate than their public performance. Liam was waiting for her in the living room, and when he saw her, his expression made her heart skip. You look incredible, he said softly. Thank you. Your mother has very good taste. She does in many things. Liam's eyes held hers for a moment that felt charged with possibility. Emily. About last night. Liam. Emily. Ethan's voice interrupted them as he bounded into the room. Perfect timing. Mother's made her famous lasagna, which is code for she ordered from the Italian place down the street, but put it in her own dishes. Ethan. Liam warned. What? It's still delicious. Besides, tonight isn't about the food. It's about the Grand Inquisition. The what? Emily asked. Oh, Mother didn't tell you? Every woman Liam brings home fake fiancé or otherwise gets the Grand Inquisition. It's a Bennett family tradition. Liam rubbed his temples. Ethan, please tell me you're exaggerating. Not even a little bit. Remember Olivia, the lawyer? Mother asked her about her 5-year plan, her thoughts on child rearing, and her position on the Bennett Foundation's charitable priorities. Poor woman looked like she was interviewing for a job. She was, in a way, Margaret said. Appearing in the doorway with perfect timing, being part of this family is not a casual undertaking. It requires dedication, intelligence, and the ability to hold your own in difficult situations. Mother, Liam said tiredly, Emily isn't actually what, darling? Margaret asked innocently. I'm simply getting to know your fiancé better. Isn't that what mothers are supposed to do? Dinner was, as Ethan had predicted, delicious and complicated. Margaret asked Emily about her childhood, her dreams, her thoughts on everything from climate change to the best way to organize a charity fundraiser. But instead of feeling like an interrogation, it felt more like a chess match between two intelligent women who were slowly learning to respect each other. So, Margaret said over dessert, journalism, that's an interesting career choice. Very different from business. I like telling stories, Emily replied, finding the truth behind the headlines, giving voice to people who might not otherwise be heard. And you're not concerned about the financial instability of the industry. Emily met Margaret's gaze steadily. I'm more concerned about the importance of the work than the size of the paycheck. Margaret nodded approvingly. A good answer. Liam, what do you think? Liam, who had been watching the exchange with fascination, smiled. I think Emily knows exactly what she wants out of life. And she's not afraid to work for it. Unlike some people, Ethan muttered, who inherit everything and then complain about the responsibility. Ethan, Margaret snapped. What? I'm just saying maybe Liam could learn something from Emily about going after what you really want, instead of just accepting what's expected. The table fell silent, and Emily could feel the undercurrents of family tension that went much deeper than tonight's dinner. You know what? Emily said suddenly. I think Ethan's right. Everyone turned to stare at her. Not about Liam inheriting everything. She clarified quickly, but about going after what you want. I spent years working jobs I hated, saving every penny to pay for school because I knew journalism was what I wanted to do. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it because it was my choice. She looked around the table, meeting each of their eyes. You all have incredible opportunities, but sometimes I think you forget that you also have choices. Liam, you could have walked away from the company. Ethan, You could have pursued your music or your languages. Margaret, you could have, well, I don't know what you wanted to do, but I bet it was something amazing. Margaret's eyebrows rose. I wanted to be a teacher. Elementary school. Really? Emily asked. Really. I loved working with children, helping them discover their potential, but when I married Henry, it was expected that I would focus on supporting his career and raising our children. Margaret's smile was wistful. I don't regret it, but sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd been brave enough to do both. It's not too late, Emily said gently. The Bennett Foundation could fund education programs. You could still teach, in a way. Margaret stared at her for a long moment, then began to laugh. My dear girl, you've just given me the most dangerous thing possible. What's that? Ideas. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversation and laughter. Ethan regaled them with stories from his college days. Margaret shared memories of Liam's childhood. And Liam slowly relaxed in a way Emily hadn't seen before. As the evening wound down, Emily found herself alone with Liam on the penthouse balcony, looking out over the glittering lights of Manhattan. Thank you, Liam said quietly. For what? For tonight, for being yourself, for giving my mother ideas about teaching. He turned to face her, and in the moonlight, his expression was soft and vulnerable. For making me remember what it feels like to have dinner with family instead of just coexisting. Your family loves you, Liam. They just want you to be happy. Do they? Sometimes I feel like I'm just playing a role. The dutiful son, the responsible CEO, the perfect Bennett heir. He ran a hand through his hair. But with you, I feel like I can just be me. Emily's heart began to race. Liam, I know this is supposed to be fake, he said, stepping closer. I know we have rules and arrangements and expectations. But Emily, what I'm feeling right now, this isn't fake at all. The air between them seemed to crackle with electricity. Emily could feel herself being drawn to him like a moth to a flame. What are you saying? She whispered. I'm saying that somewhere between your accidental embrace and your confrontation with Sophia, between your honesty with my family and the way you make me laugh, I started falling for you. Really falling for you. Emily's breath caught. Liam, we can't. The arrangement. Forget the arrangement, Liam said, his hands coming up to cup her face. Just for tonight. Forget about fake engagements and business deals and everything else. Just tell me, do you feel it too? Emily looked into his eyes, seeing hope and fear and something that looked a lot like love. Her heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. Yes, she whispered, I feel it too. And then Liam was kissing her, soft and gentle at first, then deeper as she melted into his arms. This wasn't for the cameras or the reporters or the family. This was just for them, real and honest and perfect. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Liam rested his forehead against hers. So, he said softly, what do we do now? I don't know, Emily admitted, but I know I don't want to stop finding out. Liam smiled, the real smile she was beginning to love. Neither do I. From inside the penthouse, Ethan watched through the glass doors with a satisfied grin. Well, 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 he murmured to himself. Looks like Liam's finally found something real. Behind him, Margaret appeared with 2 cups of tea. How are they doing? See for yourself, Ethan said, nodding toward the balcony where Liam and Emily were still wrapped in each other's arms. Margaret smiled. Perfect. Phase 1 of the plan is complete. Phase 1? Ethan asked. There are more phases? Oh, my dear boy, Margaret said, settling into her chair with a satisfied expression. We're just getting started. Emily woke up to sunlight streaming through her bedroom windows and the distinct feeling that her life had shifted on its axis overnight. The memory of Liam's kiss lingered on her lips, along with the terrifying realization that she was falling in love with a man she was supposed to be fake engaged to for exactly 26 more days. Her phone buzzed with a text from Liam. Good morning, beautiful. Ready for the board meeting today? I promise it won't be as scary as Mother's shopping expedition. Before she could reply, another text appeared. Also, about last night, we should probably talk. Emily's stomach fluttered with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Yes, they definitely needed to talk. But first, she needed coffee, and possibly a strategy for surviving what Margaret had ominously referred to as the most important board meeting of Liam's career. She padded to the kitchen in her pajamas, expecting to find Ethan conducting another breakfast orchestra, but instead found Margaret Bennett sitting at the kitchen island with a cup of tea, a stack of newspapers, and an expression that could only be described as predatory satisfaction. Good morning, dear, Margaret said without looking up from what appeared to be the financial section. Sleep well? Yes. "Thank you," Emily replied carefully, pouring herself coffee and wondering if Margaret somehow knew about the balcony kiss. "You're up early." "I'm always up early. The business world doesn't sleep, and neither do the women who run it." Margaret finally looked up, her sharp eyes studying Emily's face. "You look different this morning." "Different how?" "Glowing, happy, like a woman who's finally admitted she's in love." Emily nearly choked on her coffee. "I don't know what you—" "Oh, please. I watched you two on the balcony last night. Quite romantic, really. Liam hasn't kissed a woman like that since, well, ever." Margaret's smile was triumphant. "Phase 1 is proceeding perfectly." "Phase 1. Emily set down her coffee cup. "Ethan mentioned phases last night. What exactly are you planning, Margaret?" Margaret folded her newspaper with military precision. "I'm planning to save my son from himself, secure the future of Bennett Enterprises, and possibly gain a daughter-in-law I actually like in the process. Would you care to hear the details?" Despite every instinct telling her this was a terrible idea, Emily found herself nodding. "Excellent." Margaret pulled out her tablet and swiped to what looked like a presentation. Phase 1 was simple. Get you two to stop pretending your feelings are fake. Check. Phase 2 begins today with the board meeting. What happens at the board meeting? You're going to help Liam prove he's ready to take full control of the company. Margaret's eyes gleamed. The board has been questioning his leadership for 3 years, ever since Henry died. They think he's too young, too impulsive, too focused on employee welfare instead of profit margins. "But those are good things," Emily protested. "Of course they are, but businessmen rarely see compassion as a strength. Today, you're going to help change their minds. How? By being yourself, by showing them that Liam has found someone who makes him stronger, more focused, more confident, by proving that he's not the reckless playboy they think he is." Margaret leaned forward, and by delivering a presentation that will knock their socks off. Emily blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Surprise. You're giving a presentation to the board about the Bennett Foundation's new education initiative, the one you inspired last night when you suggested I could still teach." "Margaret, I can't. I'm not qualified. I don't know anything about running a foundation. But you know about education, about the importance of giving people opportunities, about fighting for what you believe in. That's exactly what this company needs." Margaret stood up, her expression softening slightly. "Besides, Liam will be there to support you, and I have complete faith in your abilities." Before Emily could protest further, Liam appeared in the doorway, looking devastatingly handsome in a perfectly tailored navy suit. "Good morning," he said, his eyes finding Emily's immediately. The warmth in his gaze made her stomach flip. "I hope Mother isn't terrorizing you too early in the day." "Just discussing today's agenda," Margaret said innocently. "Emily is very excited about her presentation." "My what?" Liam looked between them, confusion clear on his face. "Didn't I mention? Emily is going to present the Foundation's new education initiative to the board. It was her idea, after all." Liam's eyes widened. "Mother, you can't just what? Give a brilliant young woman the opportunity to shine." "Emily, darling, go get dressed. Something professional but approachable. The black suit we bought yesterday would be perfect." As Margaret bustled out of the kitchen, Liam moved closer to Emily, his expression concerned. "Emily, you don't have to do this. I can talk to her." "No," Emily said suddenly, surprising herself. "Actually, I want to do it." "You do?" "I spent my whole life being told I wasn't qualified enough, smart enough, connected enough to make a real difference. Maybe it's time I stopped listening to those voices." She looked up at Liam, drawing strength from his encouraging smile. "Besides, if I'm going to be a fake Bennett for 26 more days, I might as well make it count." Liam's expression grew serious. About the 26 days, I know we need to talk. But maybe after you survive your first corporate presentation, you're going to be amazing," Liam said softly, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from her face. "And Emily, whatever happens today, whatever we decide about this arrangement, I meant what I said last night." Emily's heart raced. So did I. 2 hours later, Emily found herself in the most intimidating conference room she'd ever seen. 20-foot ceilings, mahogany paneling, and a table that could have doubled as a landing strip, surrounded by men in expensive suits who looked like they could buy and sell small countries before lunch. Liam sat at the head of the table, looking every inch the confident CEO. But Emily could see the tension in his shoulders. Margaret had positioned herself strategically across from the most vocal board members, her expression serene but her eyes sharp as a hawk's. "Gentlemen," Liam began, Thank you for attending today's quarterly meeting. As you know, Bennett Enterprises has exceeded profit expectations for the third consecutive quarter. Our employee satisfaction ratings are at an all-time high, and our sustainability initiatives have garnered international recognition. Yes, interrupted a silver-haired man Emily recognized as Charles Dalton from the society pages. The numbers are adequate, Liam, but we're concerned about your extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities? Liam's voice was carefully neutral. Your sudden engagement. For one thing, the board feels that your personal life has become somewhat erratic. The constant turnover in romantic partners suggests a lack of stability that concerns our investors. Emily felt her cheeks burn. They were talking about her like she was another business transaction. Furthermore, continued another board member, we're questioning the company's recent focus on employee benefits and charitable initiatives. While admirable, these expenditures are affecting our profit margins by less than 2%, Liam replied calmly, and employee retention has improved by 40%, which more than compensates for the initial investment. Perhaps, Dalton said dismissively, but we need to see evidence of long-term strategic thinking, vision, leadership that extends beyond feel-good policies. Emily watched Liam's jaw tighten, and something inside her snapped. These men had no idea what Liam had sacrificed for this company, how much he cared about the people who worked for him. They saw his compassion as weakness, and that was unacceptable. Excuse me, Emily said, standing up before she could lose her nerve. Mr. Dalton, isn't it? The room fell silent, all eyes turning to her. Dalton looked annoyed at being interrupted. Yes, Miss Carter, Emily Carter, Liam's fiancée. She smiled sweetly. I couldn't help but notice that you seem concerned about long-term strategic vision. I'd love to share something with you that I think addresses exactly that concern. Liam looked surprised but nodded encouragingly. Margaret's eyes were gleaming with pride. You see, Emily continued, moving to the front of the room with a confidence she didn't entirely feel. I've been working with Margaret on a new initiative for the Bennett Foundation, something that combines Liam's commitment to employee welfare with serious long-term investment strategy. She pulled up the presentation Margaret had somehow loaded onto the conference room's smart screen. Education, Emily said simply. Specifically, comprehensive education and career development programs for Bennett Enterprises, employees, and their families. She clicked to the next slide, which showed statistics Margaret had somehow procured about education and economic mobility. Studies show that companies investing in employee education see an average return of 300% within 5 years. But more than that, they create loyalty, innovation, and a workforce that grows with the company instead of leaving for competitors. Emily found her rhythm, her passion for the subject overriding her nerves. Liam has already created the foundation for this with his employee wellness programs. But imagine taking it further. Tuition assistance for employees' children, professional development courses, mentorship programs that connect senior staff with entry-level employees. She clicked again, revealing Margaret's detailed financial projections. The initial investment would be significant, but the long-term benefits are extraordinary. Reduced turnover, increased innovation, improved public perception, and most importantly for this room, substantial tax advantages and improved stock performance due to increased investor confidence in our human capital. Emily paused, looking around the room. She had their attention now. But here's the thing, she continued, her voice growing stronger. This isn't just about profit margins or stock prices. This is about building something lasting, something that honors Henry Bennett's vision while positioning the company for the next 50 years. She looked directly at Liam, who was staring at her with something that looked like awe. Liam Bennett doesn't just run this company. He invests in it, in its people, in its future, in its values. And that's not a weakness, gentlemen. That's leadership. The room was dead silent for a moment. Then, slowly, one of the younger board members began to clap. Others joined in until the entire room was applauding. Brilliant, Dalton said finally, though he looked somewhat grudging. Absolutely brilliant, Liam. I have to say, if this is the kind of strategic thinking your partnership brings to the table, perhaps we've been too hasty in our concerns. The education initiative is just the beginning, Liam said, finding his voice. Emily has helped me see opportunities I hadn't considered before, ways to grow the company while staying true to our values. Well then, said another board member, I think we can safely say that Bennett Enterprises is in excellent hands. Liam, consider this our vote of confidence in your leadership. As the meeting wound down and board members filed out, congratulating both Liam and Emily. Margaret appeared at Emily's side. Phase 2 complete, she murmured with satisfaction. That was incredible, Liam said, approaching them with a grin that could have powered the building. Emily, where did you? Your mother is a very good teacher, Emily said, smiling at Margaret, and apparently I'm better at public speaking than I thought. You were magnificent, Liam said softly, his eyes holding hers. Absolutely magnificent. The moment was interrupted by Ethan's arrival, looking uncharacteristically serious. Hate to break up the victory celebration, he said. But we have a problem. A big one. What kind of problem? Liam asked, immediately shifting into crisis mode. Ethan held up his phone, showing what appeared to be a gossip website. Sophia Langley just gave an exclusive interview to Celebrity Insider. She's claiming that Emily is a gold-digging fraud who seduced you for your money, and she has evidence that your engagement is fake. Emily felt the blood drain from her face. What kind of evidence? Photos, apparently, of you working at the hotel the night you met. Audio of you talking about needing money for tuition. And Ethan hesitated. A recording of Liam talking to his assistant about maintaining the engagement arrangement for exactly 1 month. Liam went very still. When was that recorded? 2 days ago. In your office, which means Ethan looked grim. Someone in your inner circle is feeding information to Sophia. Margaret's expression had gone deadly calm. This is war, she said quietly. Margaret, Liam warned. No, Liam. Sophia Langley has crossed a line. She's attacking not just you, but Emily, and by extension, this family. Margaret's smile was sharp as a blade. It's time for phase 3. What's phase 3? Emily asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. Phase 3, Margaret said, is where we stop playing defense and remind everyone exactly why you don't mess with the Bennett family. Before anyone could ask for details, Liam's phone rang. He answered on the first ring. Liam Bennett. What? When? I see. Yes, send them up. He hung up, his expression grim. That was security. There are reporters in the lobby, lots of them. They want a statement about Sophia's claims. Emily felt panic rising in her chest. Liam, I can't. If they find out this is fake. Hey, Liam said, taking her hands in his. Look at me, Emily, look at me. She met his eyes, drawing strength from their steady blue gaze. What we have isn't fake anymore, he said firmly. I don't care what the original arrangement was. I don't care about contracts or timelines or business deals. I care about you, and I'm not going to let Sophia or anyone else hurt you. But the company, the board will understand that sometimes the best business decision is following your heart. Liam smiled. Besides, you just gave the most brilliant presentation they've ever heard. They're not going to question my judgment after that. Margaret clapped her hands together. Wonderful. In that case, let's go deal with those reporters. Mother, Liam asked suspiciously, what are you planning? Nothing dramatic, darling. Just a simple press conference where we tell the truth. The truth? The truth, Margaret repeated. That Liam Bennett is engaged to an extraordinary woman who makes him happy, who brings out the best in him, and who has already proven herself invaluable to this company. The truth that anyone who tries to hurt her will have to deal with the full force of the Bennett family. She paused, her smile turning predatory. And the truth about Sophia Langley's little secret that I've been saving for just such an occasion. What secret? Ethan asked. Oh, just that she's been embezzling money from her father's charity foundation for the past 2 years. I have receipts, bank records, everything. I was going to handle it discreetly, but if she wants to play dirty, Margaret shrugged elegantly. Game on. Emily stared at Margaret in amazement. You've known about this the whole time? Darling, I know about everything. It's my job. Margaret straightened her jacket. Now, shall we go show the world what happens when someone underestimates the Bennett women? As they prepared to face the reporters, Liam pulled Emily aside. Are you ready for this? He asked softly. Emily thought about everything that had happened in the past week. The accidental embrace that had started it all. The fake engagement that had become real feelings. The family that had somehow adopted her. And the man who was looking at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. With you, she said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him softly. I'm ready for anything. Liam's smile was brilliant. Good, because something tells me this is just the beginning of our adventure. From across the room, Ethan watched them with a grin. Think they know they're completely in love yet? Oh, they know, Margaret said with satisfaction. The question is, are they ready to do something about it? As they headed toward the elevator to face the reporters, Emily realized that somewhere between the fake engagement and the real feelings, between the board meeting and the family dinners, she had found something she hadn't even been looking for. She had found home, and she was going to fight for it. The elevator doors opened, revealing a lobby full of flashing cameras and shouting reporters. Emily took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and stepped forward with Liam by her side. Whatever came next, they would face it together. "Ladies and gentlemen of the press," Margaret announced as they approached the crowd, "I'd like to make a statement about the recent allegations against my future daughter-in-law." Emily felt Liam's hand squeeze hers as the cameras started flashing, and she realized that this moment, this man, this crazy family was worth fighting for. Even if the fight was just beginning. Across town, Sophia Langley watched the live press conference on her phone, her smile fading as Margaret Bennett began to speak with the authority of someone who held all the cards. "Oh dear," Sophia murmured, "I think I may have made a terrible mistake." But by then, it was far too late to take it back. The Bennett Enterprises lobby had been transformed into what could only be described as a media battlefield. News crews from every major network crowded the marble floors, their cameras trained on the small podium that had been hastily erected near the elegant fountain. The lighting crews had turned the space into something resembling a Hollywood set, and the energy in the air crackled with the anticipation of scandal. Emily stood in the elevator with Liam, Margaret, and Ethan, watching the floor numbers climb toward what felt like her destiny. Her heart was pounding so hard she was certain everyone could hear it, but Liam's hand in hers provided an anchor of strength she desperately needed. "Remember," Margaret said, checking her reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls one final time, "we control this narrative." Sophia Langley made the mistake of thinking she could outmaneuver a Bennett. She's about to learn why that was foolish. "Mother," Liam said carefully, "are you absolutely certain about this evidence against Sophia?" Margaret's smile was razor-sharp. "Darling, I've been collecting information on Sophia Langley since the day her father first suggested a business alliance. I know about her shopping addiction, her gambling debts, her habit of charging personal expenses to her father's charity, and her secret apartment in the Hamptons that she's been hiding from the IRS. The embezzlement is just the tip of the iceberg." Ethan whistled low. "Remind me never to get on your bad side, Mother." "Too late for that, dear. You've been on my bad side since you put glitter in my moisturizer when you were 12. The elevator dinged softly as it reached the lobby level, and Emily felt her stomach drop to her shoes. Through the elevator doors, she could see the sea of reporters, cameras, and microphones waiting for them. "Emily," Liam said quietly, turning to face her fully, "before we go out there, I need you to know something." "Liam, we don't have time. This can't wait." His blue eyes were intense, serious, and filled with something that made her breath catch. "I know this started as a fake engagement. I know we have contracts and arrangements and 24 days left on our agreement. But Emily, what I feel for you is the most real thing in my life." Emily felt tears prick at her eyes. "Liam, I'm not asking you to decide anything right now, but after we get through this, after we deal with Sophia and the media circus and everything else, I want to talk about making this real, actually real, forever, real." "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Emily whispered. "I'm saying I love you, Emily Carter. I'm saying that the best thing that ever happened to me was a clumsy waitress bumping into me at a charity event. I'm saying that if you'll have me, really have me not as part of some business arrangement, but as the man who wants to spend the rest of his life making you laugh, then I want to marry you for real." Emily's heart stopped, then started again at double speed. "Liam Bennett, are you proposing to me in an elevator? Would you prefer I wait until we're in front of 30 reporters?" "Actually," Emily said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him softly, "I think this is perfect, and yes, by the way, yes to all of it." Liam's smile was brilliant, transformative, and Emily realized that this moment, this man, this completely unexpected love story was worth every moment of chaos that had brought them here. "Well," Ethan said cheerfully, "that was disgustingly romantic. Can we go destroy Sophia now?" Margaret dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief that probably cost more than Emily's monthly rent. "My babies," she said softly. "Henry would be so proud." The elevator doors opened, and immediately they were assaulted by flashing cameras and shouting questions. "Liam, is it true your engagement is fake?" "Emily, how do you respond to allegations that you're a gold digger?" "Mr. Bennett, will this scandal affect your position as CEO?" Liam stepped forward first, his hand never leaving Emily's, his posture radiating the confidence of a man who had just been given everything he wanted and was prepared to fight for it. "Ladies and gentlemen," Liam said, his voice carrying easily over the crowd. "Thank you for coming. I know there have been allegations made about my fiancé and our relationship, and I wanted to address them directly." The crowd quieted slightly, cameras focusing intently on Liam's face. "Emily Carter is an extraordinary woman," Liam continued, his voice warm with genuine affection. "She's intelligent, compassionate, brave, and she has already proven herself invaluable to Bennett Enterprises. The suggestion that she is anything other than remarkable is not just false, it's insulting. But what about the claims that your engagement is a business arrangement?" called out a reporter from the front row. Liam smiled. "Our relationship began unexpectedly." "That's true, but sometimes the best things in life happen when you least expect them. What I can tell you with absolute certainty is that I am completely, genuinely, head over heels in love with this woman." Emily felt her cheeks warm as Liam looked at her with such open adoration that there could be no doubt about his sincerity. "Furthermore," Liam continued, "I'm proud to announce that Emily has just accepted my proposal. My real proposal. We will be married as soon as possible, not for business or publicity, but because we can't imagine our lives without each other." The crowd erupted in questions, but Margaret stepped forward, commanding immediate attention with nothing more than her presence. "If I may," Margaret said, her voice cutting through the chaos like a sword, "I'd like to address the source of these allegations." The crowd quieted again, recognizing the authority in Margaret Bennett's tone. "Sophia Langley has made some very serious accusations against my future daughter-in-law," Margaret continued. "Accusations that are not only false, but appear to be motivated by spite and jealousy. However, since Miss Langley has chosen to make this a public matter, I feel it's only fair to share some information about her that the public might find illuminating." Margaret pulled out a manila folder thick with documents. Emily noticed that her hands were completely steady, her expression calm and professional. This was Margaret Bennett in her element. A woman who had spent decades navigating the treacherous waters of high society and corporate politics. Over the past 2 years, Margaret announced, Sophia Langley has embezzled approximately $3 million from her father's charity foundation, the Langley Children's Fund. She has used this money to maintain a secret apartment, support a gambling addiction, and fund a lifestyle far beyond her legitimate means. The crowd exploded. Camera flashes went off like fireworks, and reporters shouted questions over each other in their excitement. "I have bank records," Margaret continued calmly, holding up several documents, credit card statements, receipts, and photographic evidence of Ms. Langley's illegal activities. "I also have recordings of phone conversations in which she explicitly discusses her plans to destroy Liam Bennett's reputation because he refused to marry her." Emily stared at Margaret in amazement. She had known Liam's mother was formidable, but this was like watching a master strategist reveal a checkmate that had been planned for years. "Furthermore," Margaret said, "I have evidence that Miss Langley hired a private investigator to spy on Liam and Emily, illegally recorded private conversations, and bribed a member of Liam's staff to provide confidential information." Ethan leaned over to Emily and whispered, "This is why Mother is terrifying. She doesn't just play chess, she plays three-dimensional chess while blindfolded." "These documents have been turned over to the appropriate authorities," Margaret concluded, "and I'm confident that Miss Langley will be facing criminal charges within the week." The questions came fast and furious now, but Margaret held up a hand for silence. "One final thing," she said, "to anyone who thinks they can attack my family, and yes, Emily is family. Now let this serve as a reminder that we Bennetts protect our own. We may be civilized, we may be polite, but we are not to be underestimated." As if summoned by Margaret's words, the lobby doors burst open, and Sophia Langley herself swept in, flanked by what appeared to be her own small army of lawyers and publicists. She looked magnificent in a perfectly tailored white suit, her blonde hair immaculately styled, her makeup flawless. She also looked absolutely furious. "Margaret Bennett." Sophia's voice rang across the lobby. "How dare you spread these lies about me?" The crowd immediately swiveled toward this new drama, cameras capturing every moment as Sophia marched toward the podium like an avenging angel. "Sophia," Margaret said pleasantly, "how lovely of you to join us. I was just sharing some interesting financial records with the press. Would you care to comment?" Sophia's perfect composure cracked slightly. "Those records are fabricated lies. I'm going to sue you for defamation." "With what money?" Margaret asked sweetly. "From what I understand, your father has frozen all your accounts pending an internal investigation." Sophia went pale beneath her makeup. "He wouldn't. He couldn't." "Oh, but he could, and he did. About an hour ago, actually, right around the time my lawyers delivered copies of all this evidence to his office. Margaret's smile was triumphant. You see, dear, when you decided to attack my son and his fiancée, you made one crucial error. What error? Sophia snarled. You underestimated a mother's love. The confrontation might have continued, but at that moment, several men in dark suits appeared at Sophia's side. Emily recognized them immediately. Federal agents. Sophia Langley, one of the agents, said formally, "You're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and violation of federal wiretapping laws." The lobby erupted in chaos as Sophia was read her rights and led away in handcuffs, her lawyers following frantically behind. The reporters were practically climbing over each other to get the best shots, and the noise level was deafening. Through it all, Liam kept Emily close to his side, shielding her from the worst of the crowd, while Margaret fielded questions with the skill of a seasoned diplomat. "This is insane," Emily said, watching Sophia disappear through the lobby doors. "This is justice," Liam replied. "Mother doesn't make threats. She makes promises." Ethan appeared at their side, grinning widely. "Well, that was the most entertaining afternoon I've had in years." Sophia's dramatic entrance, the arrest, Mother's mic drop moment. "This is definitely going viral." "Is it over?" Emily asked. Still trying to process everything that had happened. "The Sophia situation?" "Absolutely," Liam said. "Mother's been planning this takedown for months. Sophia just gave her the perfect opportunity to execute it." "No," Emily said. "I mean, is this over? The chaos, the drama, the media circus." Liam considered this seriously. "Well, we'll probably have some follow-up interviews, and there will be a trial, and the wedding will definitely be a circus." But he smiled. "The fake engagement part is definitely over. From now on, everything is real." Margaret approached them, looking supremely satisfied with herself. "Well, children, I'd say that went rather well." "Mother," Liam said, "you're terrifying." "Thank you, darling. I try." Margaret turned to Emily. "And you, my dear, were absolutely magnificent. Standing up to that dreadful woman, giving that presentation to the board, you've proven yourself a true Bennett." "I'm not a Bennett yet," Emily pointed out. "Details," Margaret waved dismissively. "Ethan, call the wedding planner. We have work to do." "Already on it," Ethan said, holding up his phone. "I've scheduled appointments with the top 3 planners in the city for tomorrow morning." Emily stared at them. "You planned this, didn't you?" "All of it from the very beginning." Margaret and Ethan exchanged a look. "Not all of it," Margaret said carefully. "We couldn't have planned Liam's dramatic announcement or Sophia's spectacular self-destruction, but we may have encouraged certain developments." "Encouraged how?" Ethan grinned sheepishly. "Well, Liam's coffee had a little extra caffeine that first morning to make him more impulsive. And Mother may have strategically mentioned to Sophia that Liam was having second thoughts about the engagement, which prompted her to escalate her campaign against you." "You manipulated us," Emily said, though she found she wasn't actually angry about it. "We guided you," Margaret corrected, "toward what you both clearly wanted, but were too stubborn to admit. Sometimes love needs a little help." Liam was staring at his family with a mixture of admiration and exasperation. "You're both completely impossible." "Yes," Margaret agreed cheerfully. "But we're your impossibly wonderful family. And now Emily is stuck with us, too." As the last of the reporters filed out and the lobby began to return to normal, Emily found herself alone with Liam by the fountain where this whole adventure had begun just 1 week ago. "So," Liam said, pulling her into his arms, "how does it feel to be engaged, "Confusing," Emily admitted, "but wonderful. Although, I have to ask, when you proposed in the elevator, was that real, or was that part of your mother's plan, too?" Liam's expression grew serious. "Emily, that was the most real moment of my life. I love you. Not because Mother manipulated us into it, not because it's good for business, not because it makes a great story. I love you because you're brave enough to stand up to Sophia Langley, smart enough to impress my board of directors, kind enough to encourage Mother to follow her dreams, and stubborn enough to argue with me when I'm being an idiot. You love me because I argue with you. I love you because you see me," Liam said softly. "Not the CEO, not the Bennett heir, not the guy with the trust fund. You see Liam, the man who would rather spend an evening having dinner with his family than attending another charity gala. The man who sometimes lies awake at night, worrying about whether he's making the right decisions for 12,000 employees. The man who fell in love with a woman who crashed into his life and turned everything upside down in the best possible way. Emily felt tears spring to her eyes. "I love you too, even though you're completely crazy and your family is insane and your life is like living in a soap opera. Is that a yes to the real proposal?" "Liam Bennett," Emily said, standing on her tiptoes to kiss him. "That's a yes to everything. The proposal, the wedding, the crazy family, the soap opera life, all of it." Liam spun her around, both of them laughing as water from the fountain misted around them. "Hey, Liam," Emily said, when he set her down. "Yeah? Next time you want to propose to someone, maybe avoid doing it in the middle of a media circus. Next time?" Liam raised an eyebrow. "Emily Carter, you're the only woman I'm ever proposing to. This is it for me forever." "Good," Emily said, "because I'm holding you to that." From across the lobby, Margaret and Ethan watched the happy couple with satisfaction. "Think they'll have a good marriage?" Ethan asked. "The best kind," Margaret replied. "The kind built on friendship, respect, and really excellent conflict resolution skills. And love? Oh, yes," Margaret smiled. "Definitely love. The messy, complicated, absolutely perfect kind." 3 months later, Emily Carter became Emily Bennett in a wedding that was featured on the cover of every major magazine and described as the event of the decade. Liam wore a smile that never left his face. Emily's dress was designed by Vera Wang, and Margaret cried tears of joy that she later claimed were caused by allergies. Ethan gave a best man speech that included the phrase, "I always knew my brother would fall for someone who could literally sweep him off his feet." And the wedding cake was a replica of the Bennett Enterprises building, with tiny figures of Liam and Emily embracing at the top. Sophia Langley was notably absent, having been sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for embezzlement and fraud. Her dramatic arrest had become a viral meme, and her mugshot was still occasionally used in articles about karma coming for the wealthy and entitled. The Bennett Foundation's education initiative was fully funded and had already helped over 1,000 employees further their education. Margaret had indeed returned to teaching, establishing a literacy program that she ran with the passion of someone finally living their dreams. And Liam and Emily? They lived happily, chaotically, wonderfully ever after in a penthouse filled with laughter, family dinners that regularly devolved into friendly arguments, and the kind of love that started with an accidental embrace and grew into something neither of them could have imagined. Because sometimes, when you're brave enough to take a chance on love, even when it starts with crashing into a stranger and pretending to be engaged, you discover that the best things in life really are worth fighting for, and sometimes, if you're very lucky, you find out that your fake engagement was just practice for the real thing. 1 year later, when Liam and Emily celebrated their first wedding anniversary, Ethan presented them with a gift, a framed photograph of that first night at the charity gala. Capturing the exact moment, Emily crashed into Liam's arms. "To new beginnings," Ethan toasted, raising his champagne glass. "To accidental embraces," Liam added, pulling Emily close. "To love," Emily finished, kissing her husband as cameras flashed around them. And in the background of the photo, barely visible but definitely there, Margaret Bennett could be seen smiling, the satisfied smile of a woman whose plan had worked perfectly, because Margaret Bennett didn't just play chess, she played matchmaker, and she was very, very good at both.